disconnect here from Krish. Hopefully he does get the issues resolved. I was about to ask, just to confirm he was actually in the Philippines, but it turns out I believe he is. Based off the ping that I saw that he was playing on, he should be just fine. Definitely not still hanging around India right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he was around the area anyway from last time, so it could have been from that. You know, people talk. You know, people make a lot more decisions off of every land they get to go to nowadays.
Yeah, especially with no DPC, right? Like, it just feels like every LAN you attend without a DPC, it just feels like everyone's changing teams constantly.
Yeah,
it's kind of ridiculous how often they're changing now.
Pretty much, and I think that's to be expected for this year. Back to the good old days, Mike, where pizza parties were very popular.
Yeah, jabs. He's gonna get spotted out. Tino will land with the shockwave into the mine. Jabs, oh, he's gonna cop the net as well. It looks like he's probably as good as dead. They will completely body block him up. And this time, first blood will be drawn by the side of Execration. CML to take the kill. And what is with these pos 5s? Both pos 5s taking these first bloods.
I mean, he threw out Fire Spirit. I don't think he even launched an auto attack on CML. So it was just the last tick that burned him down.
Just rather all skill from CML. What can you do?
That's it.
Just get good kids.
Just the timing. Yeah. No, pos 5s like to say, "Oh, sorry for kicking your kill. Oh, you know, it's fine."
We're never
it's like,
really
no,
sorry.
No, we're very happy to take that kill from you. Thank you very much.
I openly admit that I apologize every time, but I'm never really sorry. I smile every time I type that crap. Well, why would I be sorry? The things I have to do for these position ones, Jonathan, I deserve it.
Yeah, you have it your way, King, Mr. Michael Phoenix. Have it your way. You do deserve it. I'm sure Neff will also attest to.
Well, are you saying some kind of business slogan or some crap? What are you saying?
I don't know.
You've been saying that all day, Jonathan. Is this some kind of fast food franchise or something?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not.
Okay.
Who knows? What I do know is we're in a match.
Yes. Well, we were looking at the mid lane. Armel and Bob were there. Bottom lane, you've got Q and Jabs against Krish and CML. So there's Meepo lane, Jonathan. Talk to me about it. Against the Beastmaster and the Prophet. What do we expect?
I don't expect it to be too bad. I also don't expect it to be amazing from Krish. CML is the one that has to give this lane some pressure. Buy some space for Krish, because once Jabs hits, again, like a level 3 timing with probably a 2-1 build with the axis being emphasized, it's not that easy for a Meepo to really just sustain here. I mean, once you have Divide We Stand, I suppose you can try to clear out a lot better, but Meepo early levels is not the most durable hero there is. And you already have that early Blightstone start for Q to get that right-click harassment going. So, not going to feel too great. At the very least, Jabs will be farming a lot better in this lane as well. And I'm just really not sure what to expect from Krish. I don't think this is an ideal Meepo lane. And I feel like even if it comes to the point where it's a very static lane for Jabs, that just means more space for Q to do whatever the hell he wants on Nature's Prophet.
That's fair. That top lane as well. I mean, you have 23 Savage and Ollie against Tino and Shanks. Pretty smooth affair for Tino so far in the Magnus, but Savage not really struggling too much either. Ollie able to just keep them at bay and ensure that Savage does remain safe. Of course, the techies is still very annoying to have to lane against. Like, Sticky Bomb is still a lot of damage. The right clicks is still a lot of damage. As mid lane, Bob is going to lose his courier. Q, very cheeky teleportation in, does secure the Bob courier, and I believe there was a bottle on that.
Yep, it's going to cut off a lot of regen for Bob. Not going to be feeling great. Really good early wards being dropped by Aurora again between the tier 1 tier 2. And that's going to make it pretty hellish for Bob.
Mel just kind of reminds them what Q just did with that little tip. Mel, we could have tipped earlier, John, but just waits for the pause. I appreciate that. Bit of mental warfare here against Bob. And Bob will now have however long to think about the fact that he won't have a bottle for the next minute. This is very disappointing for Bob.
It's not going to be feeling all too happy, Mr. Bob. And, I mean, his mid lane matchup's already not the best in the world. Again, we've seen Armel kind of win out the Storm versus Pango. He's doing so again. He does go for the 1-1-1. So every time Bob comes in for the shield crash, instantly melts, gets double overloaded with Static Remnant Vortex, and then it's just a rough go for Bob at that point, especially without that bottle for a minute. Armel has free reign on the lane. And a mass disconnect from Execration. It has been raining here, so suppose that's a factor, perhaps.
That's not a good sign. Not a good sign to the last series of the day, that's for sure. Hopefully Execration are going to be able to reconnect. I mean, we've had some very awkward scenarios with SEA close qualifiers, or just qualifiers in general.
Takes me back.
Yeah,
Takes
we've
me
had
all
a
the way
lot
back.
of those. We've had a lot of those
Man.
situations now that I think about it. Like, we've had so many.
You remember, the biggest one was really when Signal Ultra was playing against, was it Fnatic or Mineski or something, with March on the other side. And I remember we paused for like 40 minutes. Signal Ultra just had no power.
Yeah.
And there was just literally no power in the city. So it's a 40 minutes unpause. And that was a game where Signal Ultra could have taken it to like 3 games as well, I believe. Or just dragged it out. And yeah, it's like Southeast Asia for you.
Try, but... Oh, Krish is going to reconnect. There we go.
Yeah, it's like,
All
oh.
right. Thanks. Whoopsie daisies. Hopefully the problems will be resolved here as we do get this game underway once again. Where were we? Armel is going to harass Bob away on the Pangolier. You kind of already talked about this. Just every time he gets close, he's going to cop that crazy harassment. 23 Savage was about to get jumped there, but just pounces away before the skewer does come in from Tino. At the very least, I mean, Tino should have a pretty good time on the mag, and we are seeing that once again. Like, these Magnus offlanes, they aren't struggling today. That's for sure. It just seems like every offlane mag has been having a very good time.
That they do. And again, for this lane, for Tino, I mean, it's stable farm. You're not stopping the Slark too badly, but it's not the comfiest time for 23 to keep farming up as well. Shanks is doing a great job of cutting Ollie off from the lane. And that's the big factor, keeping the Slark back. Without the protection of the Lion, there's always a little bit of a threat coming in here from Tino. So, well played from Shanks to just keep that disruptiveness. Even manages to get the pull right under that next creep wave as well. And be able to give Tino even more farm to play with. You have to appreciate still how great Techie's lane is, right? Just his attack range, his damage output. It is pretty annoying for any Pause 5 to kind of contend with a Pause 4 Techies.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a very fun time, that's for sure. Bob, just looking back at this mid lane, he's not having a good time. He's constantly being harassed out by Armel. Keeping back towards the lane after going back to the fountain, but it's just still not a very fun time for him. At least the side lanes are still looking rather even between these two teams.
Yeah, but this mid difference is going to be... The mid difference is going to be a big issue for the side of Execration. Like, we've seen delayed timings on the defusal be really detrimental to Pango's impact.
They do pick off Savage. Nice skewer from Tino to secure the kill, although he come to rotations. Q trying to at least find Shanks for their trouble. Problem is he's now been disarmed. Tino, he's going to take a second kill on the bag. Very nice pick up here for the Magnus. And well, Q, he's trying to help out, but the constant disarm coming out from Shanks makes it impossible to finish off the kills. Huge win here for Execration.
They managed to get that opening they want onto Savage, and when all these removed from the equation, it becomes pretty hard for Savage to play that lane. Even down bot, he managed to jump down jabs.
Krish able to find jabs on the offlane Beastmaster, so we're talking about this mid difference, but the side lane suddenly looking to be favorable for the side of Execration anyway.
I'm a little bit surprised that Krish has gotten this much from his lane. I expected a little bit more presence out from jabs, but the instant they see Q leave, with the early divided we stand, with the value points in the oof ready to go, and it's fairly easy to just kind of try to keep jabs down, especially with the burn damage coming in from CML. So you do have to respect some of that magical output. But starting to shape up. Execration 4-0 to start off with. Kind of the opposite story from game 1. They are managing to start to build themselves up here, with stacks being formed by Shanks, contesting for the 6-minute rune as well. Armel was forced all the way back home. We'll TP in. But they do manage to find the rune up top. Ready to go, but Armel?
Oh, Armel, maybe trying for a bit of a cheeky deny there. Does end up hitting Shanks instead, and Shanks will take the haste rune away. Mine! It finds a double bounty for himself. Very nice on the techies. Like you said, things are going very swimmingly right now for Execration as Q also gets caught out down at the bottom lane, and he's got
Who's that tough
Krish
guy now,
finding his
tough
second
guy?
kill of the game already on the Meepo, and it seems like the perfect start for this Radiant side.
Yeah, with this kind of launch away on Execration, with this kind of launch for Krish, his defusal timing is going to be online soon. He's going to be able to jump down and chase down anyone presenting themselves in the lane. And it's something that you have to be concerned about on Aurora. You need quite a fair bit more time for Savage to kind of hit his mark now in comparison. The cores of Aurora lagging behind. In fact, Savage is behind Bob's net worth, considering how badly Bob's mid went. So the recovery is going to take quite a while here. Do spot out the stacks. CML already dropped the sentry to prevent further stacks from being built up. And is just going to try to soak as much as he can while Jabs just tries to clear freely. Doesn't spot him. So, free EXP for the Phoenix.
It's a real shame. I mean, you say for the Phoenix, Krish is going to move in and just clear these up. The Axes are going to come in to scout this out, but Krish is just being an absolute nuisance as now Ollie's forced to rotate. Krish is still trying to go for this. Earthspike will fly out onto one of the Meepos. The chase is now on. They'll get a Hex out, but CML is just blocking the way, and that bridge is not making it very easy to catch the Meepo. Krish will get one out of there, and it looks like he's just fine.
Oh,
No,
zip.
Armel's going to zip in, but he's out of mana. Oh, they get him anyway. That was too close for comfort. That is way, way too close.
Yeah, that was a very tight timing. The Axis build up from the spam Jabs had earlier does enable them to finally clean up. And that's a pretty big first kill for Aurora. Just slowing down the Meepo just a tad bit. RC
Savage.
movement mid onto Savage.
Yeah, they are certainly trying. But the Slark is Savage dropping lower and lower. Will get underneath the tier 2 tower, but cannot survive. Never even bothers using the Dark Pack, which I suppose is absolutely fair. I don't believe it would have made the difference. Bob finding a very strong kill for himself now in the Panga.
This
Savage,
is one of the
very low
slower
on net
starts
worth.
we've seen for Savage. Just barely above CML. He's not finding that. In fact, CML has a little bit more farm than him now. That's I don't think we've seen that from Savage in a very long time. Execration pumping out that pressure. Tino doing a ton of work up top just on the Magnus. And I guess that goes back to game 1. We saw Aurora ban out Magnus and Winter Wyvern. Well, the Magnus slides in here, and you can see just why Aurora doesn't want to have to deal with that Savage. And he's going to need so much time to farm. Not even the power tread's up and running. He does have the Orb of Corrosion, but can't really do much with it. The Fusel timing is going to take a long while as well. And that's all time for Krish to start building up. His Diffusal, only the recipe away, about 500 gold. You've got Bob starting to recover as well off the back of these kills, at very least. Start to have his own path onto his Diffusal, and Tino again straight into the Orchid. Just wants instant control on something like 23, on something like Armel. And the pieces are starting to come together here for Execration. And for Aurora, it's starting to look like a little bit of a slump. Like that energy from game 1 seems like it dissipated just a bit here.
Certainly has. Talon, rather, Aurora not having a very good time. Armel being targeted now. Bob going to go for another Rolling Thunder. This time onto Ollie, it seems. Poor old Ollie doesn't really have too much gameplay out of this, but luckily Armel will save the day for it. Just for a Vortex back in onto Shanks. Seems like the techies might go down, and does. So Aurora finally looking to fight back as a unit. Will run towards CML now, but CML will be able to just Icarus dive away. The Execration, I suppose on one hand are doing very good, but on the other hand, need to be somewhat careful not to hand too many kills back the way of Aurora.
Nice pickups to find for the side of Aurora. A little bit of EXP just to bring in Ollie and Q closer to that level 6, which is when things can really start to get rolling with how much burst they will have on hand. Still a lot of space being brought out, right? This top lane doesn't get any easier for Savage without any supports around. Bot lane for Krish is just free farm with no contestation. And the build-up is still there. RP.
Oh, top lane. They've got the Slug again. Nets to fly out, though Savage does get the Shadow Dance off in time, but does he have a way out of this without Pounce? I don't believe so. The TPs are coming, but it's just so late. It took such a long time to respond to this. They do at least take down Tino, and in fact they might even find Krish now. The Vortex is out from Armel, but he's still just trying to poof away. Ollie's there with the Hex out and Krish is gone. They are punishing successfully, but how much more can they get? They'll find the egg. Execration handing so many kills back the way of Aurora that they might lose Q, and they will. But Aurora, they actually do manage to capitalize quite nicely considering they lost the Slug so early on.
Yeah, it's all worthwhile. This movement out from Krish doesn't quite pan out. It's a lot of gold bouncing back the way of Aurora, especially onto Armel, who should be the tempo setter in this game.
Is under attack.
It doesn't look like they're going to make the jump in on Bob. They just don't have the lockdown for him. Yeah, he just... This fight, like, it started off really well for Execration, but a lot of kills being handed back the way of Aurora. I guess on the positive note, you were not giving all this XP and gold to the Slug, so there's that.
There is that. It's still a struggle for 23, but Armel and Jabs have managed to catch up to a pretty healthy amount now on that Beastmaster and on the Storm Spirit. The Witchblade for Armel not too far off for him to find. And for Krish, he has to be a bit cautious. He is going into the Ags next, so Mega Meepo will be coming out sooner rather than later. A Mega Meepo with Diffusal does sound like a very scary threat indeed on the chase down, especially with the consistent lockdown that you can expect from the Earthbind. So, it's going to be the one big tool to keep Armel down outside of the RP in the middle of these engagements. Tino has that full Orchid up, so that additional control for the Storm is there, and to an extent for the Slark if Savage is not careful with his Dark Pack usage. But Aurora, they're hanging in. Diffusal fully up on Bob though, should set a lot more damage going here. And again, just complicate things for Armel, who we've seen has had a few mana issues in trying to sustain up front.
Turns out the line is not proving to be enough yet, John. The mana drain, we'll have to wait and see if Ollie can be the big mana pool we're looking for. Bottom lane, CML. Hang about, ready for a defense. Execration. They're going to group up, smoke up, down towards the bottom side of the map. Aurora will smoke up as well. Line's being drawn back towards the Dire Triangle, though Armel going to have his smoke broken along with Bob. They'll see each other there for a moment. Either side, look, getting the jump they really wanted out of this. They'll head back into the mid lane and just ensure that this T1 tower does remain defended. Execration, they're just going to retreat. It seems like they're more than happy with the state of the game right now. See, Krish and Tino are both finding a hell of a lot of farm. Savage is still very far behind on that Slark, and it is a Slark after all. You're not going to exactly have the quickest comeback.
No. It's a slower process, and at least the Dark Pack helps you clear out these camps fairly quick, but it's not like you can take care of any stacks. So even if you try to build up stacks, it's a little bit risky for that Slark. And the timings are lining up for Execration. The Blink is up and running for Tino, flying out now. And that should allow them to start to play even more aggressive. They've got some good forward vision now as well on Execration's end. One ward down from the low ground near the tier trees here, between the two trees in top and mid. That gives him some nice sniping angles to go hunting down line. Of course, if Savage does decide to just take a stroll there, should easily reveal that spot. Although I'm not sure if a sentry on the cliff would actually spot this one out. It might just be right outside range. Still, Jabs is finding his own room. He does have the Dominator up. It's not too far off from full helm, just lacking the recipe. And is split pushing nicely enough. Clears out bot. Has some space to just get his own farm going. For Execration to play this pace, once this Ags comes in from Krish, like, you have to play with these tools. You cannot allow Aurora to, again, play the slower tempo that they love.
Shanks, Armel, looking for a quick pick off though. Tino's now going to show up with an Orchid, and Armel suddenly in a lot of danger. Will get RP'd up, and it was all a bait. Armel will pay for it with his life. Q will at least get his way out of the profit, but it's getting worse and worse here for Aurora. I mean, the Execration, they've just got everything they could have asked for to start off this game. Aurora, they're just not able to find any openings that they really need to try and abuse.
Well, I mean, I do like that RML's trying to look for these pickoffs where he can, but I just feel like they need to connect with multiple ports. At least Jabs has to join in his queue.
Yeah, it might just get dived, but no. They'll hold on to the Rolling Thunder for now. Bob, not going to bother just using it up and risking his own life. They'll just keep smothering the side of Aurora. Savage is around the corner if you... He's got to be very careful not to get silenced here by Tino. They saw him. They will go for the Blink Orchid initiation onto Savage. And, oh, can he actually get away? Savage barely able to get the Shadow Dance off in time. Bob is still on the chase. Meanwhile, towards the south, they have found themselves CML. They do get themselves a Phoenix. Meanwhile, Savage has still juked them out quite nicely and will turn around and look for the counter initiation. Who can they find, though? Zip forward. Shanks will be the target for now. Orchid out once again onto the Storm, but they'll just hide in and out for now, Aurora. Looking for the perfect opportunity. Meanwhile, Krish does get the Aghanim Scepter up on the Meepo, but he does not want to fight. He does want to back his way out. But he may have no choice but to fight, as one of the Meepos is fighting, falling quite low. He'll go for the Mega Move form, though. So they're onto the Bob now. The Pango. Bob.
Oh, boy.
He's just feeding his life away to Savage. This is exactly what you didn't want to see if you're Execration.
No, that was a little bit of a mess coming out there. The skewer out from Tino on the tail end of that chain control onto Savage cut off Bob from just getting these chain rolls out. So some miscoordination coming out from Execration cost them a ton in losing out and gives a bit of a recovery path to Aurora because they're not farming up in that downtime. They force Chris to show up. He shows his Ags, doesn't get to do much with it. And Aurora start to feel comfy. Net worth lead isn't that big from Execration, down to just 1 to 2k. The recovery for Savage, he's still below Bob, but it's not as bad as it once was when he was tied up with CML. It's a little bit more space now for Slark. And with the Diffusal, there is some ways for 23 to start to play his game now. Execration. Now, we mentioned it, but they've got these tools. They need to keep playing with it, but we also have to play smart. Not overextend, not give openings out, because Aurora are slowly but surely able to climb out if you give them the chance to.
They certainly are. And Execration probably in the stage of the game now where they wonder what they should be doing here. Like, do you force Roshan? Seems like the answer is probably going to be yes. If they get away with this, I mean, they still have a very quick Roshan lineup. Aurora, not really in a position where they'll be able to guess Roshan is happening anyway by the looks of it. Let's take the space to farm up here on their cores. Execration on the other hand, though, they will have the Aegis to come up. Looks like Krish will probably just be taking it on the Meepo. He indeed will. Maybe they can find Jabs at the bottom lane. Jabs. Head up north, see if he can get away from this scenario, and the chase is still on. I believe Shanks has seen him, and so has Team. They're going to find themselves a Beastmaster on top of the Aegis being taken. Meanwhile, top lane, there is a bit of an attempt onto Krish, perhaps, but Aurora, they're not going to take it. I thought perhaps they'd try for Krish, but I suppose it's not worth the effort.
Yeah, considering the secondary life and the position of the primary Meepo.
With Armel. Armel's here now. They've certainly got a lot more damage available as well as control. And Krish, that's going to be the Aegis going down. At least they can't get him the second time.
No. Again, the primary Meepo is pretty far, but popping the Aegis is still a nice little pickup for the side of Aurora. As they should be able to, again, dissuade Execration from trying to reach into further objectives. Makes it a little bit awkward for you to commit onto the tier 2s and just farm safely even for the side of Aurora. And they're reaching this point where their control is starting to get out there. They've got the Ags on Q. He's managed to find space to farm that up for himself. So you do have the entanglement now with a Rat of Nature, which is a substantial amount of control and a considerable amount of damage. We do get some good bounces out as well. And we'll be able to find her Tormentor as well without killing off Ollie. And make a time right there. And even a Shard for Q. So Curse of the Old Growth as well. He sprouted out targets and or any target standing by the tree line. Everything you could ask for good old Q.
Yeah. Slightly worthy the way of Aurora as well. Like, you look at the win probability graph, it's actually gone down to 51%. From about 80% it was at some stage, so that's a pretty big difference, you know. It's a pretty big drop here for Execration, pretty much almost just giving their whole lead away. Back the way of the Dire. As time goes on, you know, the Savage is slowly but surely getting to the stage where he could be a bit of a concern. Especially once the Axe is up, is when I think you start to get a little bit worried as Execration. Smoke up is 4. They've got the disperser available on Krish now. They're gonna find ult. Nice little earth spike volley coming out. But it's still gonna be him going.
Not the big kill you'd want here for Exe, considering that, but kill's a kill. It's an opening for perhaps a shove in onto the tier 2. Aurora, they're not going to be worried. They're farming on Q, they're farming on jabs. Everyone's actually farming, except for Ollie. Like, Ollie is the sacrificial lamb, enabling all these guys to find that build-up for themselves. And we're at the point where Q is trailing behind Savage's farm. Savage still hasn't managed to overtake Bob, but with a few key items he's found, he's comfier on that Slark. The Mage Slayer saving him from that burst. Still, mid-tier 2 is set to fall. And that opens up the map a little bit more. Good invasion for Execration to take control on the triangle, cut off more resources away from Aurora, but again, Aurora doesn't seem like they care too much.
Perhaps narrowly avoiding the gank attempt that was incoming here from Execration. They'll take the bottom tier 1 tower, Execration. Maybe looking towards the bottom tier 2. I mean, I don't know if Aurora would really go for a defense attempt, but they have smoked up as 3. Perhaps they are looking for the fight down at bottom lane. Problem is the mines will give all the information away, so the smoke is not exactly going to be very sneaky here from Aurora. Execration setting up nicely already. Bob will break the smoke and just swash away. Still, Armel is going to make the jump in onto the Pengli, but he's going to be fine for now. Meanwhile, an RP was committed, but Jabs did get the BKB off in time, so no skewer back was there. Armel still looking to jump in, does find CML now, but the Orchid is out from Tino, ensuring there's no real follow-up with the finger. He's going to ensure that CML does go down, as they'll try to chase down Tino on the mag. Instead, though, Krish jumping in onto Jabs could be a real big problem for the side of Aurora. Savage still trying to fight this one out, has taken down Tino, but can they deal with the Meepo? It doesn't seem like it. Krish is going to be able to take down 23 Savage.
Ooh, the egg.
The egg does go down, though, CML. He will die on the Phoenix. They are chasing for more here, Execration, wanting as much value as they can get. They should at least have Q, and they will even find Armel now. Completely out of mana is the Storm. Armel will drop. They still do lose the techies, but they do eventually get Q.
Where fools play, death is sure to follow.
A rocky back and forth. Rather interesting angle to take the fight from. Execration do manage to get it done, even though the start was pretty subpar. They were forced to use roll a lot earlier than they'd want to. RP only onto 1 without the skewer back, giving enough room out for Jabs to still get his roar off as well, but it just doesn't matter. All of that breaks down before Krish gets to the area, and without any of those spells, gave the Meepo free reign to just do what he wants. We're at the point with maxed out Divided We Stand. The Mega Meepo can be a threat, and we didn't even see the Mega Meepo. Krish didn't have to pop into that second form for some durability. He was free to just use his regular Meepos. And Earth Spike was already down. Like, some of these chain-controlled spells were just not available. And Execration are forcing out some openings when it feels like, with that kind of start, they shouldn't be able to find, but they do make it work. Aurora have to be really cautious. This is the point where the Meepo is a massive threat. Blink up on Krish, ready to go. The Blink poofs are ready, so he can start to melt down some of these softer targets. As something like Q is not going to be too hard to kill off. Ollie, if he's already committed the stuns as well, can be a bit of a sitting duck. Heck, even just isolating Armel is probably the bigger danger that this Meepo can't provide here. So, let's see if that's something Aurora can contend with. Krish already shoving in that top, has his team backing him up. RP is off cooldown once more.
Scanning.
That it is.
Provides the coverage he needs to push in.
Is under attack.
In Execration, I mean, this tier 2 top tower not going to be lasting too long. Execration will be able to get away with this pretty much scot-free.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Stupendous.
Radiant's
High
middle
ground is
tower
also
under
available to
attack.
them and open to them if they so wish, but they are going to retreat for now. Just take over the jungle instead.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Aurora doing a decent enough job of
Dire's
pushing in the
top tower
bottom lane, but there is still a T2 tower standing, so you can't really threaten high ground.
Radiant's middle
Seems
tower
like
is
just
under
Aurora
attack.
looking for the big
Dire's
Aghanim Scepter
top
timings here on
tower is under
Armel,
attack.
and of course Savage. So Execration just looking for an opening to find some pickoffs and go high ground. Maybe even just wait for the next Roshan attempt, which is still going to be 33 seconds at the minimum away.
Radiant's middle
30 seconds
tower
till we
is
find
under
out when
attack.
Roshan will respawn.
Scanning.
And Aurora, I mean, they're just going to keep trying to pressure this bottom T2 tower.
Radiant's
There's just
bottom tower
not really much
is
else
under
they can do
attack.
by the seams of it.
Yep. Just keep shoving where you can. Side of Execration are not gonna unclump from this top jungle area. So you have some room to just get some of that build up, some of these timings for the Ags
Radiant's
to
bottom
kind of line
tower
up
is
here.
under attack.
I do like what
Radiant
they are doing
structures
on
are
Shanks, like the
fortified.
mines are going to provide a lot of valuable information here while they are spending some time in this top area,
Radiant's bottom
mining
tower is
around
under attack.
the
Radiant's bottom
hit as
tower
well.
has
It's going to
fallen.
provide some
What you're
opportunities when
finding
Roche does
lying
respawn. It is a longer respawn at 2 minutes 20. And that is going to give, like, what, 10 seconds until it becomes a daytime Roche.
Double
So this setup from
damage.
Shanks is probably not going to pay off as much as he'd want it to. With a tier 2 cleared out, Aurora, and they're stemming the bleeding. They're ensuring that there is room for them to farm. There is room to sustain these pretty much 4 heroes to just play this farm game for themselves.
Mid lane, I think they could hunt down Savage here. Savage going to reveal himself on the creep wave. Mind you, it is only Tino and CML around the area. Execration need to be somewhat careful not to hand kills away here to Aurora, but it seems like Aurora are going to just focus on just pushing out the creep wave. Armel not even able to take out the courier of CML that time around, so even that makes its way out. Execration still just happy to hang around the top lane. Aurora,
Radiant's
they're going to go
bottom
for a
tower
3-man
is
smoke.
under
They'll head up
attack.
towards the north. Tino, obviously the
Radiant's middle tower
target you'd
is
probably
under
like
attack.
to start off on the most. Let's get rid of that mag if you can. Mines are going to give the information away again. So the smoke is again very, very obvious here from Aurora's end. Not really much you can do to avoid that though, sadly. You'll get the position of Execration based off this ancient black dragon and its own smoke breaking. So many mines around this area though, John. Like, look at the amount of mines that Shanks has got down around the Roshan. Ridiculous.
Yeah. They're setting for the Roche. And it's going to be a really tight Roche timer. It's going to end up being, for the most part, a daytime Roche. So if they want to take this fight to set up for the Roche, this is the fight to do. It's just that Aurora are also very, very cautious about going into such a heavy spot, but they're not willing to let go of this position. So it's all down to this jump. With the blink RP, Tino, it's got to make it count. Orchid usage as well, it's going to matter a lot as they will just go for the smoke wrap here.
They will move away from that Roshan position. Savage, so Savage gonna get caught out. The
Oh,
RP's there.
no.
Savage is gone. Bottom lane, at least, they do have to TP back to try and defend this. So Bob and Krish will do exactly that.
Which my matriarch will prize.
Pretty rough ends here. Like you go for the D-Ward as a pos 1 Slark in that scenario, and you just get RP'd immediately. They just no hesitation.
I like that read on Exe.
Armel. Armel just get a BKB forced out here from Tino. Q is also around trying to go after CML. They are getting some value out of these little engagements they are forcing. Meanwhile, Roshan has officially begun now as Krish will just go for it by himself. But it is going to roar, so it is very obvious that Roshan is now happening. And Aurora, they want to fight by the looks of it. Still BKB available on Armel, but the problem is Roshan is gone. Everything picked up here from Execration Zen as they'll go for the rolling thunder on Bob, trying to chase down jabs. Zip forward from Armel, but he just gets caught out by the stun. Forced the BKB up. They'll still try to secure Bob's life, but Bob is just too tanky. Everyone needs to retreat out of there. Ollie's the only one to be lost for now, but Krish is still on the chase looking for another target. He's going to blink back up, looking for jabs. The 23 Savage is going to jump in. Savage, he's got the Shadow Dance and the Depth Shroud available if he does need to commit it. He probably does on jabs, but no. Jabs is alright to TP away. But it really does seem as though they have no answers for Krish now.
No. Just not there. He's able to just not have to even pop Mega Meepo. This Ags from Armel has to come in, but... And it is there. AoE Vortex is on hand. This could be the opening. They've gotten very focused in how they target down Krish, and how they deal with his 2 lives. Managed to find the objectives they'd want here on the side of Exa to get the free shard out for Tino. Got a little bit of that shockwave upgrade coming back and forth to help clear out these waves as well. And the high ground with the Aegis does open up here for the side of Exa.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Krish is going to push in the tier 3 tower.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's structures
It's going to take very long whatsoever.
Dire's bottom barracks are under attack.
No defense really coming out from Aurora. Savage trying to sneak up from the backside. Meanwhile, Armel, he does get an AoE Vortex off onto Krish, but it's just not enough damage, not enough follow-up yet. Savage is still hanging around on the side. I don't know what he's quite waiting for, though. He tries to jump in, but Armel's now gone. Now, he was waiting very patiently for something. I'm just not sure what it was.
I'm not sure either. They miss out on that opportunity. They got that initiation on Aurora, the big zip they'd want. They couldn't even take 1 life away from Krish. Another set of racks just set to go. No respawn on Armel for a good few seconds. They do manage to cut off the creep wave down bot though. But it's all through backdooral though.
Has caught chaps, but the BKB was there in time, so no skewer back is available here for Tino. Still just desperately trying to force in this defense. No creeps available for Execration, just doesn't really seem to matter anyway. Still just trying to split push the lanes as best as they possibly can. 23 Savage will push out the top lane, not allowing the Megas to come in, but they are in dire straits. So this game is looking very, very possible to come back from at this stage.
That it is. It's
Krish.
a rough go. Oh,
May have just found Savage as well. Savage gonna get netted up in huge trouble. Already committing the Shadow Dance, committing the Depth Shroud, pouncing away. TP, there's no net. In fact, it does come out, but it's a whiff. So he does get away from Krish at least.
bails out, buys some time. Enough time for that respawn to be up on Armel. But the last set of racks is where Execration has their eyes on. They still have 1.5 minutes in the Aegis. More than enough time for Krish to get to town onto that. We have to see that follow through. We have to see that Zip Vortex tie into something here from Aurora.
Four-man smoke here from Aurora. Just trying to initiate Krish. He's going to get jumped in from Savage, but he gets no damage off to get things started, and Krish just gets the big Meepo, rather the weak Meepo out of there. Few going to be jumped to the backside. Savage in the meantime trying to focus down Tino. They might at least have themselves a Magnus here, and they will, but he needs to get himself out of there. Meanwhile, Krish just goes back into the Mega Meepo form, ensuring he does not drop one life yet, or he might drop at least the Aegis for now. Can they actually do with him a second time? They'll commit some buybacks here at the side of Aurora, trying to get that secondary Meepo life, but Savage has been caught out once again. Does go into the Depth Shroud. Finger committed as well. India goes your AoE Vortex out from Armel, but it means nothing. Everyone's still alive. Savage to go down. This game is looking well and truly over. So Bob will lose his life. Aurora not calling it yet. They are still going to try. Execration might actually be the ones to retreat and just play this safely.
They lack the coverage necessary to really protect Krish right now. So even after the dieback on Savage, need to wait for Tino to at least be back here. Well,
Mel, jump in again, is going to find himself Shanks. They are going to lose Ollie in the process, though. I think Aurora just taking anything they can get.
Dire's top tower is
Well,
under
they found
attack.
Q as well by
find
the season.
themselves cute.
Yep.
And just to clean up. And this should open up that avenue onto the high ground. With
Dire's
Tino
top
back, with
tower
RP
is
ready
under
to go.
attack.
And with a TP point on the outpost, they're going to be able to start shoving in. They do have... And they've got the damage ready with Krish. They even forced the buyback on Shanks. They want to clean this up. Do or die for exit. They've got to make use of this advantage.
AoE vortex out again. Oh no, just locking down the Viper, but it's not quite enough. The RP comes out. Tino will lock him down. Armel is gone. They're still playing without Savage. They're trying every single opportunity they can have to take them out here on the side of Execration, but Krish is just way too big. GG is finally called. Aurora, they are unable to take this game 2 against Execration, which does mean that we will officially go to a third game.
That we will. It's a full 3